Am I the a-hole for asking my brother to pay to use the family cabin after he refused to help restore it? A few years ago, my 35 male grandparents passed away and left behind a beautiful but very run-down lakeside cabin. It had been in our family for generations, but by the time it was passed down, it was in rough shape. The wood was rotting, the roof leaked, and the plumbing was ancient. My parents, not wanting the hassle, offered it to my younger brother Matt, 30 male first, since he had always talked about how much he loved the place growing up. At first, Matt was excited, but when he saw the actual state of the cabin, he quickly changed his mind. The renovations would cost tens of thousands of dollars, and the upkeep was more than he was willing to commit to. He told my parents that he wasn't in a position to take on such a big project, and that it was too much work for a vacation home, so they turned to me. I thought about it for a while, and even though I knew it would be a lot of work, I loved that cabin. I spent almost every summer there as a kid, fishing with my grandpa and roasting marshmallows with my cousins. It meant something to me, so I took it. The thing is, taking ownership wasn't just signing some papers. It was years of work and tens of thousands of dollars. I had to replace the roof, reinforce the foundation, fix the plumbing, and completely redo the deck, which was one bad storm away from collapsing. It became my after-work project, but it also became a major financial commitment. Every spare dollar I had went into fixing up that place. I asked my family for help many times, whether financially or physically with labor, but no one ever did. Fast forward a few years later, and Matt reaches out, saying he and his wife want to take their kids on a summer vacation and would love to use the cabin for a week. I told him, sure, but you'll need to contribute $500 to cover utilities and general wear and tear. He flipped out. He said I was being greedy for charging family, and that grandparents wouldn't want the cabin to be a business. I reminded him that he had the chance to take ownership and chose not to because he didn't want the responsibility. Now that I've poured my time and money into making it a livable space, it's not fair for him to expect a free vacation just because we share blood. He argued that it's not like you're paying rent on it and you were gonna be there anyway. But that's not the point. If I let him stay for free, where do I draw the line? Do I have to offer it to every cousin, uncle, or second cousin twice removed who wants a weekend getaway? If Matt contributes nothing but gets free access, doesn't that mean I'm basically paying for his vacation? Now our mom is involved, saying I should do the right thing because family helps family. I told her that Matt was offered the cabin first, and he said no because it was too much work. I then asked for financial or physical help, and he also refused. He didn't want to deal with the responsibilities, he just wants the benefits now that I've taken on all the costs. Matt hasn't spoken to me since, and our mom keeps telling me I'm being unfair. Am I the a-hole for expecting him to chip in, or is he just entitled? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Matt didn't contribute. Mom didn't contribute. So between them, they have zero say, and you should have zero Fs to give. You're absolutely right. Matt and my mom had their chance to contribute, and they chose not to. Now that the hard work and costs are behind me, it's only fair that they respect the effort I've put in. Actually, OP, it's your cabin. Change the locks and take it off the table. A good friend of mine is going through this, and it's a thankless job. If your brother wants to use the cabin, he can buy half the investment you put in, time and materials, and set up a small corporation that shares all of the expenses equally. You're right. Once you start sharing it, it all goes downhill from there. Remember, no good deed goes unpunished. Charging them is the right thing, not the a-hole. It's about fairness and respect for the time, money, and effort I've invested, in my opinion. If they want to enjoy the cabin, they should contribute. Thanks for seeing it that way too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad and extended family I want to be more than dad's mistake he made after his wife died? I, 18 male, was raised by my dad on his own. My mom didn't want to raise me, and she still doesn't want a relationship. Yes, I reached out to find out. Her family doesn't even care. My dad was widowed for about 2 years when he and my mom had a fling, and I was the result. My dad had 2 kids from his marriage. They were 11 and 9 when I was born, and they hated the situation. I get it. They had only lost their mom 3 years before, but they took it out on me. They always said I was a mistake my dad made, and that they couldn't believe he had a kid with someone who wasn't their mom. The oldest expressed a lot of disgust toward me for my existence. I was 9 the last time I had regular contact with them, not because they moved out. They had moved out 2 years prior, but because they stopped coming around as much. But they never softened toward me, neither of them. The younger of the two didn't express as much disgust directly about me, but about the situation overall, and they still wanted me to know they saw me as a mistake, and something that should never have happened. I was repeatedly told I would never be their sibling, that they had each other, and that while my dad might not want me to be violated and beaten in foster care, they sure as heck didn't care. They said that if my dad died, I would be going there, and to them, it didn't matter what happened to me. My dad knew how things were between me and his older kids. I always got the sense that even though he raised me and provided for me the same as his older kids, maybe he felt the same way as them, that he regretted that I existed. He never dated again. He still wears his wedding ring, or maybe started wearing it again, I don't know. And there were photos of his wife all over the house, their wedding photos and family photos. I couldn't look at them, or my half-siblings would get all pissy and say my existence was disrespecting their mom's memory, that I didn't deserve to look at her. My dad would tell me how much he loved and missed her, and how he wished he could have made an even bigger family with her. That without her, things felt wrong. Maybe he wasn't talking about me exactly, but given the sentiment, I don't think I'm wrong. But he let me do any activities I wanted, and on the outside, I'm sure he looked like an amazing dad by keeping up with my school, getting me help when I struggled, and including me even when his other kids didn't want me included. The emotional stuff is where I think the biggest problem came. For such a long time, I felt like a mistake. My whole being felt like I was just the mistake my dad made after his wife died. Then I started dating my girlfriend 2 years ago, and her family was amazing to me. They took an interest in me and wanted to know about my family life. One of her siblings knew my half-siblings and admitted they never even knew they had a younger sibling. I confided in my girlfriend's family, and they were disgusted. Her parents have spent over a year telling me, again and again, that I deserved better, that I never deserved to be told or treated like I'm a mistake, that my dad's actions are not my fault. It's been nice, and it gave me a boost of confidence when I needed it. My girlfriend has met my dad, and she's picked up on how different he is with me versus my half-siblings. Like me, she can see that he provided for me physically, but she said it felt so cold, and I guess that's how I felt. I turned 18 a couple of months ago and moved in with my girlfriend and her family so I could finish high school somewhere less cold. Because it was so close to Christmas when I moved in, it was a controversial move. My extended family told me that leaving my dad before Christmas to have an empty nest was cold, and when I chose to spend Christmas with my girlfriend and her family, my extended family accused me of lacking appreciation for everything my real family had done for me. My dad didn't say anything until a week ago when he asked me why I was arguing with his family. He told me he didn't think I should disrespect my grandparents or aunts and uncles like that. I ended up asking to see them all in one place, and I went to my grandparents' house on Friday, where I basically opened up about everything and told them I was tired of being made to feel like a mistake. I said I wanted to be more than my dad's mistake after his wife died, and my girlfriend and her family give me that. They treat me like I'm more than that. The response? My dad's allowed to grieve, and he never said anything like that to me. I was also told I should know better than to take the words of grieving children to heart. When I pointed out that they're adults now and still hold those feelings, I was told that wasn't what they meant, and I should know that. There's a lot of general unhappiness about what I said, and I know they think badly of me for speaking up about it. Am I the a-hole for it? Not the a-hole. Your dad's extended family just doesn't want to admit that their behavior has been wrong all this time, and are very resentful that you are making them face that. Unfortunately, it's human nature to want to shoot the messenger rather than deal with the message. If there is any further pushback, tell them that you'll start behaving like family when they do, and point out that if even outsiders like your girlfriend's family can see it, then the problem is not with you. Go low or even no contact until you can get some therapy to help you unpack your feelings. I can see that. They were always willing to turn a blind eye to how my half-siblings felt about me. Maybe that's because they did care about all three of us and knew my half-siblings were grieving. But I feel like after 18 years, the fact that none of them stepped in to make me feel loved and wanted says it was more for show than anything. I can't imagine they never picked up on some regret from my dad too, or at least some kind of distance that he didn't have with his other kids. So grieving is all that's allowed? You're grieving the family you never had, a mother who didn't want you, a father who was only there in body but not spirit, and half-siblings who wished you'd been sexually abused in foster care rather than exist near them. You're grieving something you've never had. Your dad has had about 20 years to grieve his dead wife. You've spent all 18 years of your life grieving for a family that doesn't exist. You were neglected and emotionally abused, being told you have nothing to be sad about by family, all because they don't want to admit they participated in your neglect all these years. I'd say you have more right to grieve than your sperm donor. At least he can claim someone loved him once. Please get therapy, OP. You've been taught your whole life to act a certain way to appease the people who've neglected you, and that isn't healthy now that you're out of that environment. You'll finally have your chance to grow outside the label your family gave you, not the a-hole. Once I can afford therapy, I will look into it. Maybe when I go to college, I'll be able to use services offered on campus. I think the fact that they can all say they were loved is something they have in their favor over me. Right now I am loved, but for most of my life I wasn't. 16 years where nobody really loved me or wanted me hurts in a way lots of people won't understand. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing my girlfriend's demand that I have a talk with my 22-year-old about his breakup with her goddaughter? This past Christmas, my son JC broke up with a girl Mary he had been dating since he was 16. Mary indicated to JC that she wanted to be engaged and married within the next year. JC does not want to be married until after medical school, so he ended the relationship. Mary did not take it well. She has tried to get him to reconsider, but he has decided the relationship has run its course. My girlfriend Kelly is the godmother of Mary and best friends with her mom Sarah. I met her through my son's ex's parents. We have dated for about a year and a half, mostly long distance. Kelly moved in with me in November. She has heard from Mary and Sarah about the breakup and asked me to talk to my son about it. Basically, she wants me to get him to reconsider. I refuse. As far as I am concerned, he made a rational and mature decision to end a relationship where they fundamentally want different things. Until this week, this disagreement has not caused any real issues for us. Well, JC took out another girl on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day was their anniversary. They had their first date on Valentine's Day in 2018. Well, this pissed Mary off, and she called JC and tried to have it out with him. JC hung up on her and blocked her. Mary and Sarah then called Kelly. Kelly tells me that I need to at least have a discussion with JC about being sensitive to Mary's feelings. I refuse to have this discussion. I told her that while breakups suck, Mary has to learn how to deal with it. Kelly said I am being an ass, and now tensions have been high. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Former girlfriend is the only person responsible for former girlfriend's feelings. Her ultimatum did not work as planned. Now she wants to backtrack, but her former boyfriend is just done. Apparently, you are the only person in the room who minds their own business and doesn't try to interfere in the relationships of other adults. Mary sounds way too immature to be married, and frankly, so does your girlfriend. You and your son are making smart and rational decisions here. Not the a-hole. I think OP should follow in his son's footsteps and break up with his girlfriend. Dated a year and a half, mostly long distance, living with him only a couple of months, and already meddling in his relationship with his son? No way. OP should have a talk with his son, tell him he made the right decision, and helped OP realize he also deserves a mature woman who doesn't force herself into situations she doesn't belong in. Meddling, yes, but Kelly is also getting dragged into this because other adults are coming after her. Like OP said, breakups suck but they happen. Mary and her mom can get over it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my girlfriend's brother's challenge, leading to them getting humiliated with no fault of mine? So I'm 29 male, and I have a girlfriend 28 female, and we have been dating for the past 1.5 years. She has 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother, and all of them are these "we are men" dudes. Now, her brothers are pretty decent guys. I've been around them enough to know that they just live in that headspace where every man should be big and strong. I'm 5'9", but I'm on the stocky side. Since I first met them, they have always commented on the fact that their sisters should not date a guy shorter than them. They're also super big on UFC, drinking and working out, which I'm fine with, except for drinking. I myself like UFC and working out. They always comment that she should be with someone who's a badass and not a French guy. I'm half French from my mother's side, as French men are perceived as cowards, etc. Last week on Saturday, they had a family get-together of around 20 to 30 people, and I was naturally invited. Late into the party, they started saying that she should have been with one of her exes, as they liked him for being a big, strong guy. I was a bit hurt by the comment and pushed back. Rather than backing down, they said that if I could beat them in a wrestling match, they'd consider me a man. I initially didn't accept, but I think I didn't want to be perceived as a coward. Now the thing is that they don't know that judo is big in France, and I was pretty active in the national judo circuit until I was 16, but I had to move to the US with my parents. For 3 years before I started dating her, I started getting back into BJJ. I'm just a lowly blue belt, but I train 4 to 5 days a week as a hobby. They think BJJ is gay, and even made fun of me for that. So, getting to the moment, we squared off, and without hurting them, I could easily take them down and pin them, and this repeated for all of them. There was a stunned silence at the party, and the mood turned sour, so I took my leave. The next day, my girlfriend started saying that I had no right to humiliate them when they were just being playful with me. She said, "I know you train BJJ, but they were being friendly and all." I told her I didn't hurt them, and was initially not even interested in wrestling with them. I also explained to her that I could have used a stranglehold or a joint lock to hurt them, but I simply kept them pinned. Apparently, it has hurt their manhood, and my girlfriend is just being overall insensitive about it. She is now going on this whole tangent about me being insecure, trying to prove myself, and humiliating her brothers just to feel like a bigger man. I'm usually a quiet person, but I'm not able to understand how to approach this situation. Not the a-hole. For Pete's sake, dude, do you really want to spend your life dealing with these adult children? Has she ever had a problem with her brothers treating you like this? Attempting to belittle you? Commenting on how her ex was better? Has she ever once told them to shut the heck up? Tell her that her family is weak and needs to hold daddy's hand to cross the street. Then dump her. Well, she would only push back a bit. I was the one usually told to ignore, as they are just joking and being overprotective. Guess what? Your girlfriend is just as much of a raging douchebag as her brothers. She seriously expected you to just grab your ankles and keep taking it from her brothers. Because reasons? Their feelings matter, but yours don't? Screw her and the wannabe macho a-holes. Not the a-hole, but you will be if you stay with her. The only response I've gotten from her over time is, "Leave him alone, he takes care of me." All she will say is, "Don't let them get to you. They're like this with all the boys around me." Thinking back, her mother was the one who would eventually tell them to get off my back.